Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Threads Office Hours. I'm Xenia Chen and I'm the founder of Threads. So Office Hours is a series where we do deep dives on questions that are submitted by you guys, our community. So we are pretty much deep into fall now. It's October, even though the weather in Toronto has been very bizarre. It's like 30 degrees today in Toronto, which is just nuts. Hence why I'm wearing a linen tank top. I thought it would be fun today to do an entire episode that's focused on dressing for work. So I am so passionate about this topic because dressing for work is sort of how I got the idea for Threads and what motivated me to start the company. So for those of you who don't know, before Threads, I was working in the corporate world for my entire career. So I started my career in investment banking in Toronto, and I moved on to work in private equity, and then I started Threads. And the motivation for me starting Threads was I couldn't find comfortable tights that I wanted to wear for work that looked good and were at a good price point. So that was sort of the motivation for me. And I think, that ethos of like wearing something comfortable that also looks really good and polished, that's just like easy and effortless, is sort of my ethos that I carry towards dressing for work in general. Like obviously my number one priority was, wanting to look presentable, professional, put together. I really believe in dressing as like a sign of respect. But beyond that, I also wanted to be comfortable. Like that is like the most important thing to me, especially if you're working super, super long days, like sitting at your desk, traveling, doing all those things. So that is my ethos for tights and dressing for work in general. And I think over the years, we've gotten so many questions from you guys asking us for tips about dressing for work, whether it includes tights or not. So I thought it would be fun today to do an entire episode that sort of covers my top like tips or hacks that I've used to dress for work. Of course, these days I'm not dressing for like Bay Street or Wall Street, but I love sharing these tips because I think to me, I thought they were, so ingrained in me, but every time I tell, whether someone in our community or family and friends one of these tips, I'm shocked by the number of people who like have never heard of these things before. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys and hopefully you guys find them helpful. Some of them include tights and some of them do not. And let me know if you like them, because if you do, I'll do more videos like this. But yeah, let's get started. Let's get right into it. So my first tip is you want to invest in pieces in colors that get along with other colors. So what do I mean by that? There are certain colors that are really friendly with the most amount of other colors. So that might sound a little bit confusing, but I'll give you two examples. So two of my favorite examples are navy and gray. So these two colors pair really well with pretty much every other color. So navy looks good with navy. Navy looks good with white, cream, beige, most neutrals. It's overall just like a very color-friendly color. So why do you want this? So basically you want to be able to go into your closet in the morning and have a really easy time like picking out a combination of outfits. And if you invest in pieces that are sort of these like friendly colors, that process is going to be a lot easier for you in the morning. And I'm not exactly like a morning person. So, anything to make that process of dressing in the morning a little bit easier, like I'll take it. So in my personal work wardrobe, I had a lot of grays and I had a lot of navies. And I found that these two colors together overall, like they looked amazing together. But then, if I saw like a cream colored blouse or like a neutral colored blouse, like I knew that blouse was probably going to work with the other navy and gray stuff that I had in my closet. Tip 2. So this is going to be like a very niche tip, but there is a very specific type of dress that is going to be the most versatile piece in your closet, and I will give you examples of why. And this type of dress is like a loose, sort of flowy, but not too flowy dress that is made out of like a, like a loose, breathable, maybe silk material. And I'm going to link here a bunch of examples of this cut of dress at different price points. And I'll include a photo here. But this piece, and I've helped so many of my friends shop for like their version of this dress, but it's so versatile because you can, do little things to change it up to make into various different types of outfits. So I will give you 5 examples. So you can wear this dress as is, and it's an outfit. You can wear this dress with a blazer over, and it gives it a very different look. You can wear this dress with a sweater vest over. Again, very different look, a little bit more like on the casual side. You can wear this dress belted and, maybe with a scarf or other accessories. So again, it gives it like, more defined waist, a very different look. And then you can throw a sweater on top, and then it basically turns into a skirt. So that's 5 outfits for you. And I'm not advising you wear the same dress every single day, but that's basically an entire week of outfits right there with this dress. And I think the key to it is you want to find, a dress like this that really works for your body type and in maybe like a color or a pattern that you really love. I personally have this type of dress in navy and in black. And I have, both these dresses I've owned for like almost 10 years. And I've dressed it up and down in basically like every way you can imagine. So again, I'm going to put together like a list of like examples that you can get, but I am such a believer in like the power of like the versatility of this dress. Tip 3. I love heels. So I'm a huge fan of heels, and I think, of course, I love being comfortable, and we all know flats and loafers are more comfortable than heels generally, but I really believe in the power of the heel in terms of like, making you feel confident, improving your posture. Like I think, just the act of like standing on your heels, it like brings your shoulders back and it like lifts up your posture. So I really believe in getting a pair of heels that you love and, that are not like too tall for you and just like work for your body and for your feet. But that's not my tip. My tip is you want to get your heels soled. So what do I mean by that? So if you take your heels to any sort of like shoe repair store or cobbler, you can ask to get the heels not resold, but just sold. So what that means is they will take like, I don't really know what the material is. It's like kind of like a thicker piece of rubber, and they will meld that piece onto the like the ball area of your heels. And what that does is not only does it make it way comfier for you to walk in, and it helps you also like grip the floor so you're way less likely to slip and all that stuff, but that will make your heels last so much longer. So I have 2 examples of heels that I've had. Like I've had both of these heels for a very, very long time, and they're both sold. So this grippy material is not the original material of the heel. Originally when I bought it, the entire ball area was this material. So I asked the cobbler to get it sold, and now it's a lot more grippy, and it gives it a little bit more of a platform, and it looks so small, but it really makes a huge difference in terms of your comfort. Same thing with these. I've had these shoes for 10 years. They amazing shoe. Again, same thing. This material is not the material that the shoe came with. So the shoe came with this material. So basically, whenever I get a pair of new heels, before I wear them or do anything, I will take them to the cobbler and I will say, can you please sold these for me? And I think it's like $40-50 to get them sold, which, yeah, it's not cheap, but it really is a great investment because, again, look at these shoes. They look new and I've had them for 10 years. I haven't had to do it yet, but I have friends who have consistently gotten their shoes resoled. It really increases the overall life of your shoes. So I think it's something that is so worth it, especially if you are getting a pair of shoes that's like, like an expensive investment shoe. Tip number 4. One of my biggest pet peeves was the amount of money I would spend at the dry cleaners. I felt like I was just like constantly sending shirts that were, dry clean only to the dry cleaners, and as you know, it's not cheap, so it really adds up. one of my coworkers taught me this tip, and it's truly life-changing, and it probably saved me hundreds of dollars at the dry cleaners. And the tip is, if you have just like a little patch on like a dry clean only, like a silk, any of those like dry clean material, like dresses or shirts or pants, and it's just a little patch, and usually if it's like makeup or like lotions or creams, or sometimes it's like dry skin, and you don't want to send the entire thing to the dry cleaners, you can actually use a pair of tights or pantyhose to clean it. And it sounds crazy, but I'm going to include a video right here of me basically cleaning a patch on a silk shirt that I have. So this silk shirt, it's been in my closet for a long time. I haven't worn it in a while. And so, this edge is, okay, must be dust or something. And I think before I discovered this hack, I would have for sure been like, it's dirty, I'm sending it to the dry cleaners. But as you can see here, all I'm doing is I'm putting my hand in the tights, and I'm just like gently dusting it, and the debris is like all coming off, and it looks completely different. So this hack, again, has like really changed the way that I clean my clothes and deal with my clothes, and has really helped me get like the most usage out of a pair of like pants or a shirt or a dress and whatnot. This hack works really well for powdered makeup, especially like sometimes, when you're doing your makeup and there's like a little bit that like falls on. This is a really great way to clean that little bit of makeup off of your clothes without like really smudging it in. So there you go. So my tip 5 is use tights to dress up or dress down an outfit. So I always recommend like 3 pairs of core tights for your work wardrobe, and those 3 pairs are opaque, a sheer black, and a sheer nude. Doesn't really matter what cut, but basically if you have an outfit with like a skirt or a dress that's like a little bit on the shorter side, it's easy for you to throw on a pair of opaque tights to sort of like balance out the leg. That's kind of how I use tights, is to sort of balance out the outfit. So like if my outfit is really like top heavy. So what I mean by that is like if, it's like long sleeves, or the material is like wool or a little bit heavier, and I have bare legs, like to me, that's not really a balanced outfit. So I'll throw on a pair of tights to like balance it out, if that makes sense. But I think those 3 tights will change the look of your outfit based on the type of tights that you're wearing. So I'm going to give you an example. So if you're wearing a simple shift dress, the look of that shift dress is really going to change if you put on a pair of opaque tights versus a pair of sheer black tights versus sheer nude tights. And I'm going to sort of like just include a little graphic here, but you kind of understand the vibe. The vibe really changes. And of course, the footwear you are wearing will change that too. But I think tights are really like an inexpensive way to change up your looks without, buying more clothes. I think the further you get into using tights as a way to switch up your look and like the vibe of your outfit, you can start playing with different types of tights. Like, I love like the microwave fishnet. Probably not for formal business settings, but if you're in a business casual environment, or if it's like a work social, I think that's a great option to sort of like change up the look. Any of the pattern tights, I think, again, great for more casual settings, or maybe, again, it just really depends on your office and what the vibe is. But yeah, I always recommend like those 3 pairs of tights as like a really great like starter set. But again, as you get more into it, you will sort of realize that like tights are like, using tights is a very easy way to change up the entire look of the outfit without swapping out the actual pieces. So tip number 6, compression tights are your best friend. And I have gone in depth on a previous office hours episode on why I love compression tights. But really, they are so underrated. And I think especially for people who work in a corporate environment. So most likely if you're in a corporate environment, that probably means you are sitting at your desk a lot, or on your feet, or traveling. And I think in all of these contexts, you can really benefit from a little bit of compression in your legs. So I'm not going to take up too much time here talking about it, because we have an entire episode talking about it, and I'll link it here. But truly, like, anyone can really benefit from compression tights. Of course, like, consult with your healthcare professional or your doctor, but our compression tights are light compression, so 8 to 15 millimeters of mercury. So yeah, it's like a very subtle, gradual compression, and you will notice at the end of the day, your legs feel a lot better than if you were just wearing regular tights. Oh, and also a bonus is that compression tights, they look sheer, but because of the compression, they're a higher denier. So if you are someone who is more prone to ripping your tights, or you're a little bit more rough, compression tights are actually an amazing way to get higher durability without sacrificing the sheerness of the product. Okay, so my tip number 7. This is gonna sound like really cheesy and simple, but you are so much better off if you invest in pieces in your closet that actually make you feel good. You're probably thinking like, okay, duh, of course. But I just feel like there are so many like workwear guides out there that say like, okay, because your body is this shape, you should be dressing in this way or that way. And, you know, I have looked through so many of these guides, and like just over the years, I find that, you know, there's been so many times I've tried to follow like what looks good with my body. And, you know, maybe it looks fine, but I didn't feel good and I didn't feel comfortable wearing that outfit or that piece. And, you know, I would buy it and essentially like it would sit in my closet. I would never wear it because like I never really felt truly good or confident wearing it. And, you know, again, even though like it said it looks good on your body type on a guide, because I didn't actually feel good in it, it was kind of just like a waste of this piece because I would never wear it. So, you know, I think when you're shopping for pieces, like make sure you love every single piece, because that way you know that when you go into your closet and you build an outfit for yourself that day, you know that you already love every single piece. You know, I feel like every single time I fall in love with a piece and I actually am like, oh, like I love this piece, like those are the pieces that I really get the most wears out of. So again, it sounds so simple, but if you take nothing else from this video, I would say take away this one thing, and it's, you know, only buy the piece if you are absolutely in love with it and you feel really good wearing it. Okay, so those are my 7 most used quick tips for dressing for work. So I hope you found that helpful, and let me know which tip is, I guess, like the most like new to you, or, you know, one that you haven't heard of. Okay, so another question we get very frequently is, what are some key investment pieces you would recommend for your work wardrobe? And I think this is a great question because it's kind of unreasonable to expect that you're going to be spending a lot of money and really investing in every single piece in your closet, especially when you're first starting out in your career. So I have put together a few pieces that I think are really worth it to invest some money in even at the beginning, because really you're going to get like a lot of bang for your buck with these pieces. So again, I'm going to add a link where I make a list of like pieces that I have personally purchased that have lasted like 10 years, and also some other links to pieces that I think, you know, are great investment pieces that I think would be perfect. So I will add those links below. So number 1, I am such a big fan of really investing in a pair of good black heels. So they don't need to be super high, but again, as I said previously, I think there is something about a heel that just adds that extra oomph in your outfit, and especially in a professional workplace. I understand that everyone wants to be comfortable, but like there is that, but I think there is just this extra level of confidence that a pair of heels does bring to your outfit. And I love black because it's so classic and it goes with a lot of stuff. And I think, you know, it's versatile in like many different situations, not just in work, right? Like you can wear to a wedding or a night out and all that stuff. So yeah, I love a really classic, great pair of black heels. And the reason why I think this is such a great investment piece is, you know, if you are spending a good chunk of money on a really good quality pair of heels, that is going to last way longer than just like, you know, a cheap pair that you buy but you have to replace every single year. The black heels that I have had for 10 years and they still look incredible because I mean, it's just so well made. It's like the construction is great, and I do sold them. So, you know, that definitely like helps them last for a really long time. But yeah, I think in the long run, it's absolutely worth it to be investing in this piece. Next thing that I think would be a great investment piece is just like a really nice tailored suit in a classic cut. So what do I mean by classic cut? A cut that is just like it's fitted but not too fitted, and pants, I think just like the wide but not too wide leg cut is timeless, especially in a business, professional, you know, more formal setting. So I think like going to a tailor and just like getting this suit fitted and tailored exactly to your body just makes such a huge difference. And you know, you don't need to buy a super expensive suit. I think if you buy a suit and just take it to a tailor, they will sort of know to customize it and get it to your proportions. I have this pair of slacks that I think I purchased like literally first year of university. So, you know, that was like in 2010. So I've had these pants for 15 years. I remember my mom taking me to the tailor to get them like fitted for me. And I remember at the time, because I was 18, thinking like, this is like such a waste of time. But it's not, because clearly like 15 years later, I am still wearing these pants. And because it's like a more wide leg fit, they still look good. They're so timeless. So I do think this is definitely a piece that is worth investing in. And as I mentioned before, I think if you were going to invest in one color for a suit, I think navy or gray are two amazing colors to get the suit in. Black is classic, but to me, it's a little bit too like Men in Black. I find black to be a really harsh color, and I think a lot of the times it's like not the most flattering on a lot of skin tones. And I understand there's for sure a time and a place for a black suit, but it's just like wouldn't be my first pick if you were gonna pick one color for like a really tailor fitted suit. Next investment piece, that flowy dress that I mentioned earlier on, again, like I will put a link to a bunch of pieces that I think sort of like fit into this category. But yeah, you're gonna get so many wears out of this flowy dress, and like just in different contexts, it's so worth it. I think it's probably like one of my top picks for pieces overall. Next piece, I think like a really great A-line dress that again is tailored and fitted to you would look amazing. And there's just something so timeless about the A-line fitted dress. Like I don't think there's ever going to be a time where people are going to say, oh, that looks outdated or old fashioned. And then my last one, I think a really great cashmere or wool sweater. I think this is a piece where you're going to get so many wears out of it. And I guess this is a good time to talk about price per wear. So I always think about when I'm buying something, I always think about it in the context of what's the price per wear going to be. So for example, if I'm buying like a dress for a wedding, the wedding has like a very specific like garden theme or whatever, that price per wear on that dress is probably going to be high because I'm not going to be wearing that dress all the time. So for something like this cashmere sweater, even if the price is high and like at first you're like, oh, this is really expensive for a sweater, when you actually think about how many wears you're going to get over the lifetime of that sweater, so you divide the price by, I don't know, like let's just say, to be conservative, let's just say you're going to get 50 wears, which I think that's a very low number. I've gotten way more than 50 wears from my sweaters. You know, that price is going to be very low. So your price per wear is actually going to be so much lower than that dress that you got for that wedding. So I always think about it in this context. I don't know if this is like girl mathing it, but it makes total sense for me. So I have this one cashmere sweater that I bought, I think 8 years ago. And the number of times I've worn this sweater, like it must be like close to free at this point. Like it's insane how many times I've worn it. And like, especially in the winter, like it's such a great layering piece. And I'll put the link at the bottom. But, you know, even though at the time, like 8 years ago when I bought it, I was like, oh, this is like definitely an investment piece for a sweater. Over the years, like I have like really taken care of it, and it's just been so versatile that, you know, when I compare the price per wear on that sweater compared to a lot of like the cheaper sweaters that I've purchased but maybe haven't lasted as long. It's so worth it in the end. So, but yeah, back to the wool or cashmere sweater. I think especially if you work in an office that has like casual Fridays or, you know, anything like that, I think it's a really easy way to like dress down an outfit. So you know, throw the sweater on top of dress pants or, you know, on top of, you know, that flowy dress that we talked about. And it's just, you know, a piece that you can wear at work, but also on the weekend. Yeah, I definitely think it's a closet staple. So the final question of the day, we get this a lot, and it's, how do I inject personal style into a conservative dress code at work? So this is a great question, and I totally get it. Sometimes with a conservative dress code, it's definitely hard to show off your personal style, which is important. So my sort of rule of thumb is you get one fun thing per outfit, and that fun thing needs to come through accessories. So it's just like a very like general rule, and of course there are exceptions, but accessories, I mean like necklaces, scarves, earrings, belts, shoes. You sort of get like one fun thing or one, you know, way to express your personal style that kind of goes beyond the conservative dress limits. And I just feel like I have this rule because of course, you know, you want to show off your style, but you don't really want to be that person in a conservative workplace that takes it too far with the dress. I think especially when you're starting out, you sort of want your work to speak for itself and not for, you know, other people in the office to think like, you know, oh, like, you know, that person is like not adhering to the dress code. Like it's just kind of like an unfortunate thing, and you don't want to have that be taken away from your work. So I think like, for example, if you are wearing like a navy suit, you want to match it with a pair of like brown heels with maybe a like floral or kind of like a little bit more out there pattern. I think that works well. I think if you have a colorful scarf, that would work really well with a neutral sweater. So like a gray sweater or a white sweater or a brown sweater. I think statement necklaces are a fun way to express your personal style. And I think a good quality belt with maybe a little bit of like a different fun piece of hardware is also a fun but safe way to express your personal style. So I hope that helps. And that's pretty much it for today's office hours. That episode definitely was a little bit longer than I thought, but I would love to answer any more questions that you guys have on dressing and style and anything that is related to this topic. I love fashion. So yeah, I hope you loved this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have any extra questions, let me know in the comments, or I will also drop a link at the bottom where you can submit your questions. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful that there's so many of you that tune in every single time. I love doing office hours. So very, very grateful that you guys are here. I hope you guys all have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.